can't get it off. Oh, there it is, finally. Okay, good. All right. We'll reconvene. City Attorney announcement, please.
There's no announcement from closed
All
session
right,
this evening.
thank you very much. I have the invocation. So I will move forward. Labor Day is coming up, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about Labor Day since almost all of us work, and it's always nice to get that holiday off. As our 26th president, Theodore Roosevelt, said, it's only through labor and painful effort by grim energy and resolute courage that we move on to do better things. Monday, September 5th, marks the official Labor Day holiday in the United States. The holiday constitutes a yearly national tribute to the contributions workers have made to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our country. There is some debate as to who actually founded Labor Day, but we do know in 1882, Matthew McGuire proposed the holiday while serving as Secretary of the Central Labor Union in New York. The union adopted a proposal, appointed a committee to plan a demonstration and a picnic. The first Labor Day holiday was celebrated on September 5, 1882 in New York City. The idea of celebrating a working man's holiday caught on, and by 1885, Labor Day was celebrated in many industrial centers across our country. These early celebrations came during what was a dismal time in American labor's history. In the late 1800s were the height of the Industrial Revolution and saw an average American working 12 hours a day and 7 days a week to support a basic livelihood. Labor unions grew more prominent and vocal and began organizing some strikes and rallies to protest poor conditions and compel employers to renegotiate hours and pay. Many of these events became violent. Most notably was the Pullman strike in Chicago on May 11, 1894. Employees of the Pullman Palace Car Company went on strike to protest wage cuts and the firing of their union representatives. A month later, the American Railroad Union called for a boycott of all Pullman railway cars, crippling railroad traffic nationwide. To break the strike, the federal government dispatched troops to Chicago, and there were more than a dozen workers killed. In wake of this massive unrest, in an attempt to repair ties with the American workers, Congress passed an act making Labor Day a legal holiday. Although the intent of the holiday to honor and support workers' rights has faded into present-day celebrations, which focuses more on end-of-summer celebrations, it does give working people the much-needed respite, which is equally important. So no matter what work you do on a daily basis, you're making an important contribution to your country, as well as supporting yourself and your family. That in itself deserves a day of honor to rest. All right, we will now move on to call to order, and may we have roll call.
Councilmember McLean.
Here.
Councilmember Smythe.
Here.
Mayor West.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gibbs.
Here.
Councilmember Miranda.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Gibbs, would you please do the flag salute?
That would be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Everybody please stand. Put your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move to the executive meeting. Counselor, are there any questions on any item on the agenda? No. Is there any items you wish to pull? No. Okay. Are there any speaker cards for any items on consent?
Yes, Mayor. We have speaker cards for items 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no objection, no, it's so ordered. We now have awards and recognitions, and we have two. And I am so extremely honored to have these young ladies here. Who are the top in the nation. And I just want to talk, just announce right up front, this is the Legends FC Santa Clarita Valley Girls 2007. Just under 1 year ago today, 1 day short of a full year, in fact, the City Council recognized the exceptional achievements of a talented group of young women who represented Santa Clarita Valley on the national stage. The Legends FC Santa Clarita Valley Girls 2007 soccer team. Last year, the group became the first local girls team in the 14 and under age bracket to finish in the top 8 of all teams in the country. The girls won the Cal South National Cup Championship last year, were finalists at the Far West Regionals, and advanced to the National Championship Tournament in Florida. This year, we welcome the group back to introduce them to you as the national champions. Yeah. I don't think we could be more proud. Following another competitive season, the team went on to win the SoCal State Super Cup by a score of 2-1. This solidified the team's place in the 2022 U.S. Club Soccer National Championship Tournament. Legends FC advanced out of the Southwest Regional in the under-15 division to compete in the national finals. During the group stage, the team faced fierce teams from Texas, Ohio, and Washington. In the semifinal, the girls defeated a tough team from New Jersey by a score of 3-1. Then in the final, Legends went up against Rebel Soccer Club from the Inland Empire and won 3-0. Awesome. Overall, Legends scored a total of 14 goals in the tournament and allowed only 5. These young women are the first club soccer team from the Santa Clarita Valley to win a national championship. And for that, we say, congratulations. Congratulations. We'd like to invite up Legends FC, all your players, your coaches in attendance, come receive a certificate of recognition. We'll take a photo with you. And parents, you please take pictures, come up, whatever you want to do. They're awesome. Not only are they the most talented, they're gorgeous. So, ladies, we're so excited. All right, who's going to be talking? Coach? Okay, we're going now. We're going now. Thank you, Coach.
got you. We'll share all of them. We'll share.
I don't know who's speaking, but I'm so excited for you.
Thank you, council members. It's nice to be back. Last year we said we'd be back with the trophy, and we came through. It's nice to have the first cup from the Nationals in Santa Clarita. So it's very proud of these girls, the community, and all they have accomplished in the past 3-4 years. So I'm going to give the mic to Abby. She's going to speak. She's prepared something for us.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, everyone. I've been asked to speak on the behalf of the team and my experience. It is a great honor to represent the city of Santa Clarita on this national stage. Wow, that's insane. I can't even comprehend it. But yeah, on the national stage for a second year in a row. And to bring home the championship is super sweet. As us young folks would say, that's fire. We have enjoyed great support from local media outlets, local businesses, schools, friends, family, and our Legends FC family. And while we are here tonight to celebrate our national championship title, the truth is we would not be here today without the support and sacrifice of our parents, siblings, friends, and coaches. Really, much like Carly Lloyd's autobiography titled While No One Was Watching, is a great relevant statement for the dedication, camaraderie, inside joke, and the challenge. Can't believe you did that. Okay. And the challenge my teammates have come against time and time again. And while it may not have always been pretty, they have found a way to win again and again through injuries, let's say questionable refereeing, since my dad said no swearing. And I'm here to tell you it's not all peaches dealing with the hormonal teenage girls navigating their way through high school. The hours spent on the road, in traffic, all over California is tough. Okay. While we sit in the back doing homework, spending 2 hours from home in 104 degrees. That was awful. Or sitting in the pouring rain next to the most inviting porta potties. That shows what true love is. Lastly, I wanted to acknowledge the huge sacrifice and dedication of our coaches at Legends, Gunnar, Brett, Zach, Craig, and our head coach, Adam Waddell. Their dedication to us and the time away from their own families, managing our time, breaking down videos, and getting us ready for our cardio and the altitude and everything. All whilst giving us the skills and wisdom from Adam's passion for the game. You may have even heard Adam quoted many times over the many years, hard work works. Simply put, it does, and we would not be here without it. Thank you for this opportunity, your attention, and time.
Can I say fighter?
Yeah, you can say that.
All right, cool. Hi, y'all. I think we're done.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the pride and joy of Santa Clarita. This is why we all do what we do. This is why we do it. Congratulations, ladies. You're all going to have an awesome time.
Thank you. That's incredible.
It's amazing.
Good job, girls.
we always said that we wanted to have the best teams in sports and the kids that would be most involved in being healthy and active, and here they are. It's just amazing, just amazing. We'll let it clear. That's awesome. Can't even imagine that much work. Tonight, the city of Santa Clarita is very proud to recognize the work performed by the Public Works Department on a pair of projects that were built on principles of sustainability, energy efficiency, and environmental protection. Earlier this year, the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station and the Canyon Country Community Center projects achieved LEED Silver certification. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, is the most widely used green building rating system in the world, and is an international symbol of excellence. When the sheriff's station was being built, over 75% of the construction material waste was recycled or diverted. In addition, the main facility and vehicle maintenance building used light-colored roofing material to reflect light and keep the roof cooler. Natural light is used throughout the buildings, and interior and exterior light fixtures operate on sensors to reduce energy consumption. The Canyon Country Community Center features a massive stormwater infiltration system located beneath the Mercado and the north parking lots. This system, Garrett changed the pictures. This system captures polluted water from Sierra Highway before it reaches the Santa Clara River. It also recharges the groundwater supply by capturing 8 acre-feet of water for every 1 inch of rain event, releasing it back into the groundwater system. In early 2022, the city received over 9 inches of rainfall, which resulted in an estimated 14 million gallons of water captured by this system. That's enough for the daily use of approximately 130,000 residents. These 2 landmark projects go above and beyond to ensure that they operate at the highest level of sustainability. I'd like to invite up the members of our Public Works Department to accept a recognition. Topper's Pizza, that was good. Come on up. Can't fix it.
I'm a lot stronger than Jason.
Well, you are.
So it's hard young guys holding it. Giovanni, I'm pretty smart too, you know. There you go.
Cameron is crooked.
It's a good way to show my, trying to show my bias. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Congratulations. Anybody want to speak? You want to talk? Anybody want to talk? No? Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Great job. I'll just say that the Sheriff's Station is a remarkable project. It's been 50 years since the last one. This one will last even a lot longer than that, and I'd like to congratulate everybody that worked on on C4, the County Country Community Center. It is probably one of the most remarkable projects we will ever do. It really is. It's an amazing thing. Great transformation for Canyon Country, and a great environmental success. So we're very, very proud. Okay, we'll move into public comment. And we'll start with Sandra Cattell, followed by Cody Amore, followed by Alan Ferdman.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Cattell, a 43-year resident of the Santa Clarita Valley and representing the Sierra Club. By the way, congratulations on the 2 LEED certifications. We citizens are taxed by the city and county to fund the cleaning and retention of stormwater and urban runoff. I didn't realize how much stuff is in that water. Beyond the big ticket items like perchlorate and PFAS that the water company deals with, we have road pollution from cars and air pollution cleaned by the rain. And then there's urban runoff, which includes fertilizer, insecticides, and herbicides, and lots of bacteria. The source of much of that bacteria is dog waste. Not everyone uses the little doggy bags available, and some people who use those bags then put those bags into the gutter. I'm a member of our Santa Clara River WASC, the Watershed Area Steering Committee for the Safe Clean Water Program. We're allocating a whole lot of a whole lot of money for cleaning up this water, and not just money for saving it. The Sierra Club is a national environmental organization and would like to see this money spent wisely. I'm constantly making suggestions to that end. The Sierra Club would like to work with the city on a campaign to decrease the pollution we see in our runoff. Here is my suggestion for an easy first step. Our gutters and river inlets have signs that say, "No dumping, drains to the ocean," and they have little fish on them. However, our water drains to the ocean only when we have a very large amount of rain. In fact, most of our water drains into our aquifers, which is the source of approximately 50% of our drinking water. We are proposing that the city and county sanitation district change their little signs to say, "No dumping, drains to drinking water," with a picture of a glass of water. This would truly have people thinking twice before they let their dog's poop or trash go into our water supply. I thank you and look forward to working with the city as our campaign progresses.
Cody Amore.
Hello, members of the council. My name is Cody Amore. I am a homeless resident at the only homeless shelter in Santa Clarita, and I'm running for city council. The issues our city faces are willfully ignored. The city does not collect the correct taxes, and then the council squanders the money on frivolous projects. City manager Kenneth Striplin said in the last meeting that the city is funneling $8 million from the taxpayers of Santa Clarita to Los Angeles County every year to solve homelessness in the county. Striplin said that it was unfortunate that those negotiations between the city of Santa Clarita and Los Angeles County have largely favored the county's interests. I'm curious to know, do these negotiations bode ill for the homeless residents of the city, such as myself, or do these negotiations bode ill for city manager Striplin, who made $348,000 of salary in 2020, plus $94,000 in benefits and pension debt, which is a 46% increase in just 7 years. To whom do these failed negotiations really benefit? We would see more benefit if we stopped contracting with Los Angeles County. Look at the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, the county hospitals, or the LA sheriffs. Each of these institutions are poorly managed and funding rarely goes to where needed. The Los Angeles homeless Services Agency, or LASA, which is run by Los Angeles County, has completely abandoned homeless residents in Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita still only has 60 emergency shelter beds, despite being the third most populated city in the county. Santa Clarita's only shelter, Bridge to Home, will receive only 38 more beds in just over a year from now. The county granted a one-time payment of $2 million to Bridge to Home to assist with the building of this $6 million homeless shelter. Despite the county attempts to help build homeless shelters in Santa Clarita, the city ends up fronting most of the costs anyways. Why should we continue giving the county $8 million every year for solving homelessness when we never seem to see any of the funds returned to our own neighborhoods? Unfortunately, for our only shelter, Bridge to Home, LASA is incredibly miserly when it comes down to actually distributing the funds that are meant to assist the homeless residents of the county. Bridge to Home is a great nonprofit, but they just don't have enough money. Most of the staff at the shelter make minimum wage, which is still only $15 an hour in Santa Clarita. This means that the staff is overworked, underpaid, regardless of their hard work. Despite being underappreciated by this agency, they are still required to enforce LASA's standards. If they refuse, LASA will cut funding from our only homeless shelter. Ironically, the county is threatening to defund the only haven for our homeless shelters, for our homeless residents, even though the county largely relies on the taxpayers of Santa Clarita to run their agency. We pay them, but they act as though they pay us. The city of Santa Clarita needs to dump LASA, as well as the Los Angeles County, and fund our homeless shelter with our own money. We don't need multiple corrupt institutions acting as the middlemen between our taxes and Santa Clarita's homeless residents. Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker will be Al Ferdman.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Alan Ferdman. I am the president of the Santa Clarita Community Council and chair of the Canyon Country Advisory Committee. I came here tonight at City Hall for two main reasons. One was to get contact information on some of the City Council candidates and to invite the three incumbents to attend one of our meet and greets, which is the only venue in Santa Clarita where any of our residents can come straight up to the microphone and ask a candidate a question by themselves. Well, it was what a wonderful day. I just happened to run into Marcia and Bill, and they've agreed to attend in October. And I spoke with Mr. Melick and Mr. Amor, and they're going to be there in September. So I only have one more target individual, and that's you, Lorraine.
Can't even imagine that math, Al.
Would you like September or October? That's okay. You can give me a call. Anyway, it should be really good. The second item that I came to talk about was the Human Relations Roundtable. We're not going to let this issue die. I talked to Bill a little bit today, and he says he's no longer a part of it, and that's fine. But I just got to tell you what, these guys are not doing anything to promote diversity. In fact, what they're doing is they are promoting discontent. And it's just a wrong approach to take. So I would ask, again, that the city of Santa Clarita either take charge of the Human Relations Roundtable, open it up to the public, and expand it so that people can contribute and new ideas can be formed, or disband it. And unfortunately, I would hope you would pick the former as opposed to the latter. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey Malick. Don't clap.
Members of the Council, my name is Jeffrey Malick, and I'm here today to follow up on my previous speech on July 12th regarding the banning of the Confederate flag and all hate symbols in the community of Santa Clarita. Again, I want to be very clear. The Confederate flag represents slavery, and it's an absolute symbol of hate. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. It's an absolute threat to our community, and a ban by this council needs to be made immediately. Under California Penal Code Section 422 PC, it is illegal to make criminal threats, which includes those that are meant to make others feel like they are living in fear. Just condemning hate symbols is not enough. Therefore, like I said in my last speech, I propose that we follow the state of New York's 2020 prohibition stating, quote, to prohibit the sale or display of hate symbols in public buildings and on public grounds, including state and local fairs, unless serving an educational or historical purpose. This new law would define hate symbols as to include, but not limited to, symbols of white supremacy, neo-Nazi ideology, or the battle flag of the Confederacy, end quote. Now, last meeting, Bill Miranda, you decided to address me afterwards with the meeting telling me to Google all the things you've done. You seem to not understand the position you're in. What matters is how the community feels and not you. It's not supposed to be about you, but the community, and they are screaming out loud and they don't feel safe. And your response initially was to Google what you've done. That response is useless. However, you showed some sign of hope when the next day you responded to my follow-up email. I'll read now your exact response to me word for word. Quote, Dear Jeff, thank you for your email. As you may know, the council is on hiatus until August 23rd. On that date, I will be happy to discuss your email with our city attorney to learn what can and cannot be done under our Constitution. I have read that some states and municipalities have been able to ban the Confederate flag on public grounds, and I will be happy to pursue that in Santa Clarita. Let me repeat that last line. I will be happy to pursue that in Santa Clarita. Well, Mr. Miranda, it's not on the discussion today, as you can see from the email printout that was just handed to you. I followed up because I was told by numerous people in this community that this council will say one thing and then do another. And here we are. Mr. Striplin responded saying it's not going to be discussed today. So I'm here today again to plead the majority voice of this community for this council to go beyond condemning all hate symbols. Condemning is just putting a Band-Aid on a wound that needs so much more attention. If you cared about this community and you think hate symbols don't belong here, then you will make it an agenda item by the next meeting to discuss publicly and hear public opinions before putting to a vote. Unless apparently you realize there's an election coming up and you don't want to lose your conservative white supremacist votes. Hatred is not protected by free speech. You have a community here that feels threatened and scared. As you can see from the other printout handed to you, these are just some examples of signs meant to spread hatred and fear posted on telephone poles in our community. Now, as you can see from the printout, these hate groups have planned a Liberty March coming up on September 18th. The time to act is now, not wait for something bad to happen. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Tim Hare, followed by Cindy Jostin. Yes. What? Tim Hart? Okay, Tim Hart.
Mayor West and City Council members, I'm Tim Hart, and I'm here to tell you some new and exciting news about changes at all of Branch Theatricals. Soon after OBT's successful run of Shaboom, Life Could Be a Dream at the Newhall Family Theater, the original co-founding members contacted Musette Kang Hart and me to offer us the opportunity to absorb and run the entire company while they pursued other opportunities in New York. We were both appointed and elected as officers of the board, and we have appointed an experienced advisory board that represents a diverse cross-section of business owners and artists from the Santa Clarita community, and that advisory board includes our artistic director, Matt San Jose, who is here with me tonight. We believe that we will not only continue OBT's mission of great local theater, but we will build on the company's success and build an equitable, inclusive, and diverse organization that welcomes voices and talents from across the SCV and the surrounding artistic communities. At all of Branch Theatricals, we believe that some of those diverse voices come from other theater companies. We don't see those other theater companies as competition. We believe that the local arts community can support each other, and that the rising tide lifts all boats. We're already working with some of the other local theater companies and hope to work with even more, sharing props and ideas and even our rehearsal space that we have at the Valencia Town Center. Next month, September 22nd, is our official ribbon cutting at that rehearsal space at the mall across the street. And we not only invite all of you to come and enjoy some refreshments and some finger food and some treats, but we invite you to stay for a while and enjoy some of the live entertainment that we will provide there at our space. Olive Branch Theatricals wants to be Santa Clarita's community theater. We freely use the word community to describe us because we are the community, diverse, equitable, and inclusive. We hope you will continue to support us in that effort, and we look forward to seeing you all on September 22nd at our rehearsal space. Thank you.
Cindy Jostin. Cindy will be followed by Nancy.
Good evening. Living here in Santa Clarita for the last 25 years, I personally have experienced a positive, safe place to raise a family. Although the last couple years have been challenging, you and the local sheriff department have continued to fight, protect us, and preserve why we all have moved here. Thank you all on the board and the sheriff's department. The last city council meeting, the same man that was up here a few minutes ago on August 16th expressed concerns regarding the white supremacy crimes happening in the town. I have not seen this violence personally. I felt I needed to research his misfortune. I truly felt bad for him, but my findings were this. 2018 to present time, 2022, not one complaint, not one report or arrest was on file or crime or violence regarding white supremacy. Unfortunately, there are racist people in every group. Racist people come in all shapes and colors, not just white. We need to stop pointing the fingers and playing the victim. We need to move forward and be a positive role model for the real victims, the kids of this generation. They have been locked down, masked, shamed, lied to, and now they're depressed and confused. Many have turned to drugs and even suicide. This should not be about us. Our energy and focus should be on the future and the safety of the children here in Santa Clarita. With the border open, drugs and criminals pouring in, and of course, sadly, the failed recall Gaston, they are in harm's way. We need to all step up and protect the schools and the students. Mr. Striplin, I'm impressed by the article that was written in the Inside SCV magazine. I love this part, Keeping Up with Ken. So let me tell some of these people what they're missing. This is what it says. The City Council and the Sheriff's Department and Ken are in going together in it's called Chasing the High, featuring speakers from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department's J-Team and Mental Evaluation Team. Using drugs to cope with day-to-day challenges can have fatal consequences. Learn about the prescription pills abuse that the kids are doing and the strategies to help your children cope with the many pressures they face at schools, in the media, and online. This is Friday, September 23rd. This is talking about peer pressure, social media, grades, identity, body image, anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, rejection, and family problems. This is all the City Council is doing with the Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Nancy, followed by Diane Zimmerman.
Good evening, council members and staff. I'd like to thank you for always putting public safety first for your community. This is one of the reasons why I moved here more than 13 years ago. In my early 20s, I was a victim of a violent crime. It happened in South Pasadena, and I was staying the night at my girlfriend's house. As I slept, I was brutally awakened, pinned, and incapacitated within seconds by the perpetrator. As he assaulted me, I was somehow able to let out a small scream before he tightened the gag. By the grace of God, my friend heard me, and when she realized what was happening, she called the police. When I heard the ambulance and police sirens, the offender ran off, and I knew I was going to be safe. Unfortunately, they never found him, my assailant. I share my story because victims' voices today are being drowned by poor legislation, budget cuts, and propaganda, while crime is on the rise. I understand that your powers are limited by higher government authority, but I appreciate your efforts to continue promoting public safety. Please continue to advocate for us, because no one else will. Don't let us be forgotten. Thank you.
Diane Zimmerman, followed by Elaine Ballas.
Hello. Jeffrey Malik is running for this city council. This gentleman minces no words about his feelings regarding white supremacy and its huge presence in the Santa Clarita Valley. The video of his meet and greet at someone's home, which he posted on his Facebook page, leaves little doubt about his feelings in that regard. He stated, paraphrasing, that fighting white supremacy will be #1 on his agenda. Paraphrasing again, he said, "My wife and I have always been involved in basically calling out shit." I kind of admired that statement. I really did. That is all of us you consider white supremacists are doing. Of course, racism exists in some places more than others. But as a highly maligned speaker said at a city council meeting, it's a choice. It exists in one form or another against people of all skin colors, all ethnicities, and all religions. Most of the people of various skin color are colorblind as to their friends and neighbors. At the last meeting on July 12th and meetings leading up to that, there have been a lot of speakers on both sides of the so-called aisle. Folks on Mr. Malik's side of the aisle had no qualms about speaking out, being in fear of the rest of us, how they are afraid to go meetings, walk to their cars. I challenge any one of you to come up with unedited proof that anyone has ever been threatened by any one of us with an opposing view. Whereas I have no problem showing you vitriol coming out of the mouths of Mr. Malik and those who believe as he does. The remarks from the highly edited, slanderous videos of speakers at a February 8th meeting that were posted by both Mr. Bill Miranda, NAACP Santa Clarita, caused comments that were potentially extremely dangerous to those in the video. Nothing done, no apology by either the City Council, Bill Miranda, or the NAACP folks. Not to mention the smear campaign to one of the least racist people I know that has affected their business and safety. No reprimands at all. Shame on all of you. Now, October 22nd, 2021, Mr. Malik, paraphrasing again, my wife and I rushed to the lady yelling in distress. She took them inside her apartment. The daughter had committed suicide. The investigation, I'm so sorry for that family. Apparently, she was a senior at Golden Valley High School being bullied in racism and other things. Mr. and Mrs. Malik, that is outstanding that you did that for this woman and that child. Not a single person that I know does not applaud you both for that genuine act of bravery and kindness. I know of not a single person that is a neighbor or friend or family member of mine that would not have done exactly the same as you both did. None of us would have checked out the color, ethnicity, religion of the person screaming out for help. It would have and has come naturally to almost everyone I know to answer that call for help without hesitation. I admire both of you for what you did in this situation. Please remove the word white from white supremacists. Your idea of supremacists comes in many colors. Maybe supremacists
Diane, your
should be
time's up.
one
Thank
more
you.
sentence.
No,
maybe
you're done.
if we stop this bickering, we could get to other things on both of our lists
Diane.
done. Working together. We need to work together, people. Sorry.
Elaine, your turn.
Well, okay, here we go.
Well, I was going to address the elephant in the room as well. I just find that the temperature at these city council meetings has definitely risen in the last few meetings. And a person who is running for city council, part of the platform is anti-bullying, yet I have found more bullying on the internet. People's businesses, people's careers, people's lives are being threatened and they're being ruined. And I think the person responsible or the people behind the person responsible should know that. Cease and desist. We are not public figures. They have no right to go after us on the internet because that is pure bullying. And if you want to stop bullying, start with you. The other thing I want to address is the new COVID guidelines by the CDC. And I want to know, because there are other cities that said no to LA County, and they've pretty much removed everything. So if any more orders come down, I want to know what this city plans to do to LA County, because it says those exposed to the virus are no longer required to quarantine. Unvaccinated people now have the same guidance as vaccinated people. Students can stay in class after being exposed to the virus. And it's no longer recommended to screen those without symptoms. So if LA County dares to make us do any of their stuff, the CDC isn't even going along with it. So I think it's time for us to stand up and say no. And the other thing I would like to address is that I agree with another speaker that if the roundtable really is not as interested as they once were, because it's sort of been open to the public, but we're not allowed to speak or anything. And it's like looking at the wall in Berlin, but when they had the wall. And I think that it's time to maybe just open it up as a venue for everyone in the community to come and speak and air their differences or likenesses, because that's the only way it's going to help. But all the bickering isn't going to help. All the division isn't going to help. And I think people, before they speak and accuse others, should look at their own selves and what they are doing to others if they're really, truly into anti-bullying. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Our last speaker will be Jessica Coleman. What's your name, sir?
My name is Len Onkelos. Right. So yeah, Len, you'll be on the second round of public comment. We do the first 10 that come in order. We take those at the beginning of the meeting, and then any subsequent will go at the end of the business meeting. Okay, fair is fair. Thank you. I didn't realize that. Yep.
I'm sorry,
Yep, no
sir.
worries, Len.
Sorry. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica Coleman. I am representing the Parent-Teacher Association from Sulphur Springs Community School. You have all heard from me before. I am here tonight to remind you that we are facing major road construction issues on Lost Canyon in front of our school. And because of the planned improvements that were approved more than 2.5 years ago that have not been implemented, our students on what used to be a quiet cul-de-sac are now faced with increased traffic and ridiculous, crazy driving. We are asking the city to work with the developer and with other departments in the city, with the school district, to move everything forward as fast as possible. We have been told that the approved plans are now back at the drawing board, that there is a new traffic feasibility study being put into place, and we are beyond frustrated with the lack of progress in this project. Our previous principal, who was there 6 years ago, was told about a roundabout that would be placed at the Lost Canyon and Sand Canyon intersection. That has been talked about next summer for the past 6 years. We were promised at the beginning of this summer that we would have improvements done to our road, to put in a median, to put in crosswalks, to put in speed cushions, to generally make it safer. We've had some paint thrown on the road, which, you know, helped a little bit, I guess. But our school is really being left in literature. Our administrators are attempting to give guidance to parents on what to do safely for the ballet system. They are confused by the system. They are not traffic engineers. The city has refused to get involved. We do not have the sheriff's department down there enforcing regulations. The paper that was just handed out to you is a letter from one of our parents who detailed her concerns specifically about what is going on with the stop sign at what used to be the end of a cul-de-sac and is now a throughway. We have what used to be a 2-lane road that is now used as 4 lanes. We have people turning across traffic. We have people not stopping at stop signs. We have people not making U-turns where the U-turns should be made. Whatever you need to do to make it safer, please do it. So I'm asking you, just talk to each other, talk to the school, talk to the district, and get this fixed because the children need it. It's ridiculously dangerous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We have a support card from Kevin King on street sweeping. And that concludes our speakers. City manager's comments.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, number one, I actually love the suggestion that we change signs on our drains that says drains to drinking water. Is there something we can do to maybe make it more clear that that stuff stays here and doesn't just get swept away in our drains? Just discuss it and see if there's something we can do about it. The other one is regarding the construction at the school. I kind of sympathize and would like to know what is the plan there and when will some of that stuff be done? Is it that bad as described? If it is, then something needs to be done.
Mayor, if I may.
Go ahead.
So, and I'll just jump in. I think one of the questions about LA County and the CDC. I think it's important to remember that in previous years, the council has maintained, the city's maintained the position that if the county has sets forth orders around COVID or others, they are the enforcement agency. The city never went and shut down businesses. In previous years, the city never, we never sent out any of our code enforcement. If it's a county order, then I think we've always got to maintain that is the county's responsibility to enforce that. So if something does change in future months and LA County decides to take an aggressive stance, again, we have never enforced the county's orders. They are the enforcement agency on COVID and the public health, and it is their responsibility to continue to do so. So I think, again, whether something happens or not, I think it's important to remember that in the past, again, if the county passes the order, it's up to them to enforce it. Thank you, Mayor.
Marcia, were you concluded?
I'm sorry?
Did you have anything else?
I didn't get an answer to either one of my things.
I would just add to the fact that I've been out there a lot, and I think that there really needs to be a powwow on what's going on with the traffic there. Try to work with the school, the developer, to see if we can't do something. School's back in, and it's really critical to resolve some of the safety issues. I don't know what the timeline is for the bridge. I don't know what the timeline is for the roundabout, but the school's in session. They're little kids, and we need to deal with it. Any issues? Okay, thank you.
And do we need to have consensus to ask that we look at those sign things? I think it'd be a really neat idea.
Is that city or sanitation district?
It's sanitation.
Is that sanitation?
It's sanitation.
Did the sanitation district put it up, or did we do to our stormwater?
State law concerning all that. So
half of ours, half of the
half is ours, half is
exactly.
theirs.
So maybe our half can be the nice, cute little signs.
I think that there's a complicated issue about how those are worded, but maybe there could be something added, so we could just ask the question of Sand District and see what they have to say and get some clarity. I would love to see people stop putting things in the water, down the drains, down the river. It would be great, but it's tough. It's a complicated situation. All right, let us move to committee reports. Bill, Miranda.
Are we good? Okay. So the other day I had the very alerting opportunity to learn more about the fentanyl crisis throughout the nation and here in our community. A surge in fentanyl deaths across the nation has taken the lives of Santa Clarita Valley youth in recent months, prompting a press conference held by Action Drug Rehab. Corey Quashin, who heads Action Drug Rehab, said at the meeting, the only thing we can do to educate our way out of this, I've been treating people for 40 years. I know how to get people sober. This is a game changer. Fentanyl is a game changer. It's Russian roulette, just not with one bullet, but two. Every drug out there today is made from fentanyl. There are not real drugs out there anymore. Anytime you buy pills, the black market, it's fentanyl. Jaime Puerta, who was at the meeting also, told an interesting and very sad story. He said, I found my son dead on April the 1st of 2020 due to fentanyl poisoning. It wasn't what he thought it was. It was a cloned pill. It was a pill made from fentanyl and a binder. Unlike most cases, Daniel was resuscitated by his father when his father called 911, and he was transported to Henry Mayo Hospital before being transferred to Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. Fighting for his life for 5 days within hospital walls, Daniel was eventually declared brain dead due to overdose. 3 out of 4 parents who find their children who passed away due to fentanyl poisoning find them in the early morning in the safest place in the world, their own bedrooms. I implore parents, teenagers, and soon-to-be teenagers alike, please, please, please contact Action Drug Rehab, contact Corey Quashin, contact Jaime, and learn more about the dangers of fentanyl. This is the real deal. This is, as they say, a game changer. We can help our children. We can save our children. But we as parents, and yes, grandparents, have to get involved. We have to know what our kids are doing, and we have to have the ability to tell our kids no. And if we do those things and go, and I suggest everybody go to the website actiondrugrehab.com and learn about what we can do to help prevent losing our children's lives. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
I agree with that. Jason, you have something?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things for me tonight. First, I'd like to start with a couple of adjournments that we have for this evening. So first, I would like to adjourn tonight in memory of Lila Littlejohn, a longtime Santa Clarita Valley resident and former editor of the Signal newspaper. Lila was woven into the fabric of our community, beginning with her undergraduate years at College of the Canyons. She completed her bachelor's and master's degrees at California State University, Northridge, and entered a long and storied journalism career. Over the years, she was a news reporter and editor for the Associated Press and the City News Service of Los Angeles.
She was also the city editor of the Pasadena Star News and was a reporter for the Signal before serving as its top editor from 2007 to 2011. During her time with our local newspaper, she made a lasting impact on her colleagues and community members. The outpouring of love on social media is a testament to the valued mentor, skilled journalist, and beloved friend that she was. In addition to being a professional journalist in Southern California, Lila was also an educator, teaching journalism at College of the Canyons, Mount San Antonio College, and USC. Though Lila was known for her dedication to her craft and the lasting impact that she made on young reporters as a mentor, she also held a passion for geology and particularly the desert. In 2017, Lila and her cat packed up and drove across the country, settling in Florida, where she was involved in her church as well as in a local horticulture club. We were all shocked to hear the news, and we are saddened by her passing. Our thoughts now remain with Lila's 2 sons, Tomas and Brian, and the 3 grandchildren, as well as her colleagues at the Signal newspaper. And just on a personal note, before she packed up and left, we had just had the city council appointment meeting here, and where we appointed Councilmember Miranda, and I was a part of that process. And afterwards, Lila reached out to me, never met, never knew who Lila was, and she asked me to come to the Signal. And I got to meet a number of community members, and the whole purpose that she had was just to get the community together to talk, to come up with things to discuss and learn how to better your voice and be writers. I mean, she was the editor at the time, so she wanted people to write. So, myself and people like Mr. Furman, we wrote lots of articles, and it pushed forward a lot of discussion in this community, and it was really a start for me. So Lila, before she left, really had a special place in my own heart for getting me involved in this community. And for that, I will always thank her for that. And secondly, I'd also like to adjourn tonight in memory of Jack Hanna, a Western music legend and icon of the Santa Clarita Cowboy Festival. Jack was born in Marshland, Missouri in 1933, and his family relocated to the San Joaquin Valley amid the Great Depression when he was just 3 years old. His father, Lon, and mother, Melba, worked hard to give the family a better life and found a new start right here in California. Growing up, Jack played football and baseball and competed in both at the collegiate level for Fresno State. Following his time at Fresno State, Jack went on to become a professional baseball player, pitching in the Milwaukee Brewers minor league system for 6 years. Between his athletic and music careers, he spent time as a school counselor and high school baseball coach, winning a pair of San Joaquin Valley championships in the process. Most Santa Clarita residents will know Jack, however, as a co-founder of the Sons of the San Joaquin, which he began with his brother Joe and nephew Lon. They started performing together in 1987 and released more than a dozen albums and were inducted into the Western Music Association Hall of Fame. During their career, the group regularly performed at the Santa Clarita Cowboy Festival and had a strong and loyal following around the world. In 2007, the Sons of the San Joaquin were inducted into the Walk of Western Stars in Old Town Newhall. Many of the group's songs were written by Jack, and he was honored with several Songwriter of the Year awards from the WMA. Jack and his wife Linda were married for 62 years and had 4 children and 9 grandchildren. We are grateful for the impact Jack had on our lives and our hearts with his family and friends. And Mayor, just the last comment I'd make tonight, there's a number of activities that have kind of happened over the hiatus, and just the other day we had the groundbreaking for the inclusive playground at West Creek Park. And the only comment I wanted to make is after we did the event, you could see a number of social media posts about the word inclusion in regards to a park. For some people, it fostered political responses. Others wondered, what does that mean when we're talking about parks? Because this is where everyone can go. And there was a comment that you made that has resonated me for just 2 days now, and was talking about a slide that this park has. And it was a slide that used rollers. It uses a rolling mechanism to allow kids to slide down, so it's no longer the steel slides we grew up with that got hot, or the plastics that got charged up with static electricity. And I chuckled at first, and I thought, well, it's static electricity, it's no big deal. But the comment was made that children who have hearing issues or have cochlear implants, that static discharges into their implants. And it made me realize that that's what inclusive can mean when you discuss it in the right context. Yes, any kid can go down a slide, but a kid with a hearing disability that can do it without pain, that's special, and that is inclusive. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Do you think we could get the tape run for
Mr. Hanna, I'm sorry.
Mr. Hanna? supposed to run the tape.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. My apologies.
Can we get the volume up?
And I was sitting in the compound looking up at the Tres Piedras. He had a saying that he would yell out to the cow, to his vaqueros. He would say his compadres. He
It's
would
in the
say,
Hart Mansion.
Thank you. Tres Piedras, vámonos. Says, let's go. Let's go to the rocks and to hide out. So, Sengo la cricantua, Tres Piedras, vámonos. And a walking murieta, adios. As I gaze at Tres Piedras, standing stately and abreast, like ancient gods in council who have chronicled the West, three who know the guarded secrets hid in Murrieta's lair. And I wonder if young Walton's ghost is a-prowling round them there. No one knows. From rugged old Sonora, out of Mexico he rode, to the California gold fields, searching for the mother lode. He was tall and he was handsome, and his bride exceeding fair. And little did the couple know, ill fate would greet them there. And the tale unfolds. Terror struck the handsome couple when the two were all alone. Thugs raped the lovely Rosa with walking looking on. And they beat him, oh they beat him, till the youth was bloody red. But walking lived and vowed no rest till all 16 were dead. So the story goes. And that's the kind of the story. I wrote this song when I was working on the Cantua Creek Ranch, and I was sitting in the compound looking up at the Tres Piedras. He had a saying that he would yell out to the cow, to his vaqueros. He would say his compadres. He would say, Tres Piedras, vámonos. Let's.
That was recorded in the Hart Mansion during one of the cowboy festivals, and that's the historic room that Bill Hart showed his silent movies in the 1920s. It's kind of interesting crossover of history. Cameron, got anything? Marcia.
Hi. I just have a few things. First of all, I want to say about Lila. I knew Lila and was able to speak with her a whole lot on different articles and stuff. She was always objective and always fair and a delightful, delightful woman. She did nothing but good, and she was the sweetest person. So it is sad about Lila. And regarding Jack Hanna, I had the occasion to speak with him several times, and he's such a humble man, and the Sons of San Joaquin were the same. They were very humble musicians who I don't think they realized how talented they were. They never flaunted it. They were just wonderful, and it's really sad to lose such great people. As you all know by now, unfortunately, the Gascon recall, it failed. You know, I had been out on street corners personally gathering signatures, and everyone I worked with were very careful to make sure that people were registered and put down their correct address. And it's just unfortunate. Apparently, some were reckless and careless. But, you know, something kind of good did come out of at least the publicity that was given, that he has backtracked on a few of some of his mandates. I think people are beginning to realize that his policies in defunding the police do not work, putting our children and families in jeopardy. And we need to have a loud, strong voice making public safety a priority, and that's what it is in our city. So it's just kind of sad. Over the summer, There have been several meetings regarding Camp Scott. That's where they're wanting to put violent felons. They're calling them youth, but they're between the ages of 18 and 25 over in Camp Scott. And we have been telling them at every single meeting that it would be too costly and it was going to take too long to be able to implement the programs they say they want to implement, and they needed to look elsewhere. Well, I feel somewhat encouraged that at the last meeting, some of the Juvenile Justice and Probation Subcommittee members are finally realizing what we've been telling them all along, and are calling on the chair, Adam Bettino, to say so to the Board of Supervisors and to come up with a viable location that will do what they need to do to help these people. But we still have to remain vigilant. It's not one, and hopefully we're going to continue to be able to do something about that. And also, I want to kind of say what Bill said about the sadness of a parent losing a child to fentanyl. I sat next to a mother who the same thing happened. She went into her son's bedroom to wake him up, and he had died from fentanyl, not knowing that what he was taking was laced with fentanyl, which is deadly. A tiny little bit, where we were told, is absolutely deadly. And the biggest thing that came out of it is we need to educate ourselves. Parents need to educate themselves. They need to educate their children as to what this lethal drug can do. The deaths from fentanyl are the highest that they have been in decades. That came from Sheriff Villanueva. So there's going to be a parent symposium here at City Hall on September 26th. Well, okay, they said the 26th. It's the 23rd? It's Friday the 23rd and not Monday the 26th? The 23rd. Okay. Friday, September 23rd here at City Hall, where you can bring your kids, please. Come and fill this chambers to overflowing and hear what needs to be said to keep our families safe. And thank you very much.
I would like to do 2 adjournments before I finish all my other comments. We lost a great man, and we'll adjourn in his memory of Jerry Gladbach, who's a resident of Santa Clarita for more than 50 years. He was a longtime public servant, and he passed away in July. We had a beautiful celebration of his life on August 12th at St. Kateri Catholic Church. He was a longtime friend. He was always gracious, always smiling, and giving of his time, and a true gentleman. The man grew up on a farm in Missouri, and he was very caring for the land. He dedicated his life to the stewardship of water for his community, for his state, and for his nation. We were lucky that he lived here. Jerry was a longtime board member and vice president of the Santa Clarita Valley Water Agency. He held both a bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Missouri in Columbia and had a long and storied career with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, which included research, planning, governmental and public relations, environmental compliance, and other assignments. Jerry was elected to the board of the Castaic Lake Water Agency in 1985, which joined with the Newhall County Water District to create SCV Water in 2018. Over the years, he was an active member of the state and national water organizations, using his expertise to navigate the complex issues for the benefit of our residents. In addition to SCV Water, Jerry served on the board of the National Water Resources Association and was the president of the board of directors of the Association of California Water Agencies. He was truly a water professional. He also served on LAFCO, the Local Agency Formation Commission. His leadership, passion, and dedication will be greatly missed. Congressman Mike Garcia entered his name into the congressional record. He definitely leaves a large gap in our community. Our thoughts are with his wife, Donna, as well as their 3 children and 6 grandchildren. He was loved in life, and he will not be lost in memory in his passing. It is with great sadness that I do this adjournment. Tonight, I'd like us to adjourn in memory of Gloria Jean Donnelly. She was a very dear friend and a woman who played a critical and driving role in creating the city of Santa Clarita, which we know and love today. Glo always loved Santa Clarita. She was born in Cleveland, Ohio, on November 19th, 1944. She grew up in Arcadia, California, and was married to Arthur Donnelly for 41 years before he passed on. Glo passed away recently, leaving a hole in our hearts and a void in our lives. You may have come in contact with Glo or hired her as your realtor when buying or selling your home in Santa Clarita. After all, she was a realtor in SCV for 30 years. If you didn't know her personally, you certainly benefited from her work with and the service to a number of organizations in Santa Clarita. Over the years, Glo served as a spokeswoman for the Santa Clarita Valley Association of Realtors and was the chair of the Whitaker-Burmite Citizens Advisory Group for the cleanup of over 1,000 acres from toxic chemicals. She served with Seroptimist and the SCV Chamber of Commerce. She helped with the Open Space District and Old Town Newhall. With the Whitaker-Burmite Citizens Advisory Group, Glo ensured residents' voices are heard and that people can actively participate in the decision-making process surrounding this massive site cleanup. She also helped me with the land acquisition for Veterans Historical Plaza, which she placed bricks for all of her family together at this plaza. The lady had vision. She deserves our unending appreciation and gratitude for the integral role she played in the formation of the great city of Santa Clarita. Along with her husband, Art, Glo served as co-chair of Santa Clarita City Formation Committee in 1987. During the campaign to get cityhood on the ballot in 1987, Glo and Art were essential people in raising funds and getting support for the creation of the city of Santa Clarita. We will greatly miss Glo and the legacy that she and Art left in our city, two of our city's founders. She's a great lady, city founder, and a wonderful friend. And our thoughts are with her family and friends at this difficult time. Her son, Sean Donnelly, her son, Duffy Donnelly, his wife, Leslie, her daughter, Charlene Gordon, and her husband, Todd. Glo had two grandsons, Aaron Donnelly and Victor Puero, and two granddaughters, Ashley Donnelly and Brittany Gordon. She will be missed, but not forgotten. Her memorial service is on September 23rd, Friday at 11 a.m., at St. Clair's in Canyon Country. I want to mention that we were all at the press conference on fentanyl, and the information is terrifying and overwhelming. And I did my research before I went to present. And fentanyl is different than any other drug. It's 100 times stronger than morphine. It's brought in by cartels. It's not like other drugs. Most addictive drugs and most addictions can be treated. The thing with fentanyl is you just may die. If you take 5 grains and that gets a person high and addicted, a couple more grains, which you can't see, you just die. It is created by man, and it is the most powerful opioid ever. It has skyrocketed nationwide. It's extremely hard-hitting in the Midwest. It's created in China. It's brought in through Mexico. And the sad part about it is that the potential for our children is terrifying. All they need is an iPhone, and they can order it. What they don't know is that it can be in anything. It can be in a nondescript Ativan pill or something that they think is fine. They get from a friend. They get it online. They don't realize what it is. So this is a war. It's a war we're going to have to fight. If we don't fight the war, we're going to lose the ones we love. And they don't know it. It is the deadliest drug threat we have ever had in the United States, the deadliest. We have to talk about it. I'm taking the time to talk about it. I want you to come to City Hall and listen to the facts. We have to start educating kids so that they know what to look for, because if we don't take action, it'll be catastrophic. It will roll over. The death toll in the Midwest is just incredibly horrible. It takes very little to die. It's very hard to save them. And while Narcan is there, it's not the answer. The answer is to stop the drug. It needs to be a Class 1, Part 1 federally listed drug. It isn't. And Congressman Mike Garcia is committed to trying to get that done. You'll hear from Sheriff Villanueva, Captain Diaz, all of the experts, and they will tell you, we have to stop it here, and we have to stop it now. So I'm just calling everybody to action. Get on the internet, look at what it is, read about it, tell people, talk to kids, talk to parents with kids, do it now. Yeah. So again, Santa Clarita's Parent Resource Symposium will be Friday, September 23rd. I am allowing freedom of speech. All right, let us move forward. And I've got one more thing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you. I've got one more thing, Council. We have kind of a crisis on our hands when it comes to our historical encyclopedia of all of our history of thousands of images. And we're kind of running out of time because that historical library that's on the internet, SCB History, has been being put together for over 35 years. And it's in old technology and it's disintegrating. So what we need to do is there is a large grant that may be accessible. SCVTV would like to apply. It will have to have match grants. This is a material digital treasure that can never, ever be replicated if it doesn't get saved. So it would be really important for us to have staff go kind of work through this and see how we can do what we need to do to help apply for the grant. While scvhistory.com has put all that in, this needs to belong to the city of Santa Clarita. Ultimately, all of our history needs to be in the city. I look at the things, the treasure I have, you're saving history, and the digital infrastructure that supports the actual history of our valley is unsustainable in the current form, and we need to find out how to save it. So I'm asking if we can ask staff to go ahead and bring back an agenda item so that we can work on this and not lose it. It is, it's priceless. It's absolutely priceless.
I'm fine with that, Mayor. You know, there's obviously a lot of details that'll be to it, you know, in terms of ownership and funding mechanisms and things, but I think it's worth investigating. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we should look into it.
Talking about?
Oh, well, I don't know at this point, but I do know that it's a very complicated thing, and if we don't start looking at it, we're going to lose it all.
So we're just going to explore it.
Yeah. We're going to start with exploring it, yeah.
I'm good with that.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. All right, that concludes comments, and let us move on to new business, which we have one item. Should be really short. We will now proceed to new business. This is item number 1, designation of a voting delegate and up to 2 alternative voting delegates for the 2022 League of California Cities Annual Conference. City staff will make a presentation. Thank you, Ms. East.
Mayor West, members of the City Council, my name is Segovian, Intergovernmental Relations Officer in the City Manager's Office. The item before you is to designate a voting delegate and up to 2 alternates for the upcoming League of California Cities Conference in Long Beach. The recommendation is for the City Council to designate Councilman McLean as the voting delegate and to designate up to 2 alternates for the conference. That concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
I bet you'll never have a shorter presentation than that, Mr. Hayes.
We'll see.
Do we have any speakers on that? Okay. That was the staff comment. Council, who wants to go? Marcia's gone. Bill?
Yeah, I know Marcia's going, and I'm going. I'm not sure whether.
I don't think anyone else is.
No, I'm going, but I'm happy to move the action and name you as the alternate as well for it.
Okay.
You can do 2.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
All right.
I'll move the.
Then I'll be second alternate.
Yep, that's fine.
That's
Move
perfectly fine.
Councilmember McLean as the delegate and Councilmember Miranda and Mayor Pro Tem Gibbs as the alternates.
And I'll second.
Okay. Seems like everybody knows what they want to do there. We're going to move now. Do we need
We
a
have to vote on that.
roll call? It's such a simple thing. Roll call. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Gibbs,
Aye.
Councilmember Miranda,
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe,
Aye.
Councilwoman McLean,
Yes.
Mayor West.
Aye. And now we can move on to the consent calendar, and I know you have lots of speaker cards down there. Thank you. Thank you for separating all those. Appreciate that. Okay. Our first speaker on item number 6 will be Missy, and Missy will be followed by Donald Hahn.
Good evening, all. Let me get organized. So item 6 is a project proposed for, it's described as Newhall Gateway Beautification Project Award Design Contract, and it's about a total of $470,000, call it $500,000. So I'd just like to quickly say $500,000, again, in the context of the other conversations we were having that identify critical needs, like the fentanyl problem, the homeless problem, and other problems we've not yet been able to address. I suggest that this project, in a severe drought and a time of high inflation, where people have very urgent concerns of affordability of food, water, gas, housing, that this $500,000 has no place at this point in time. So I ask you not to approve this. This project is at best cosmetic, not critical, and does in no way meaningfully improve the life of anyone in Santa Clarita, nor do I believe anybody passing by Santa Clarita on the 14 freeway. I think the description provided in the city documents is inaccurate in that it says the existing project includes approximately 200,000 square feet of blighted, unimproved land with no existing irrigation. I think that's an overstatement. This is the frontage for the freeway off of the 14. The natural condition has been dirt for years. So I thought the drought, the severe drought, and the huge increase in water rates was motivation for us all to cut back on planting projects and irrigation projects where the side of the freeway is in no dire emergency to have $500,000 of plants installed. So I ask for your consideration to set this aside because I don't believe it's in the best interest of the taxpayers. Thanks.
Our next speaker will be Donald Harlan. Donald Harlan. Yes. Following Donald Harlan will be Missy on item 9. Okay, this is item 7, Donald.
Oh, item 7.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Donald Harlan. I'm here to speak about the Vista Canyon Multimodal Center project. This is, it says here that the city of Santa Clarita wants to make a deal with the Southern California Regional Rail Authority. I don't know who Vista Canyon LLC is, but that's my property. It has been since 1978 for a very long time. There's a lot of developments in the area that are unsanctioned, unapproved also. But Metrolink is private property. The train tracks are my private property. Union Pacific's my private company. And there's no agreement to do this project. I don't know why Santa Clarita would be making deals for my property again. It seems to be a recurring issue that, for example, some of the other projects that the city had a quit claim for a drainage or something and decided to claim the whole parcel of land, modifying the assessor report, or some crazy guy trying to sell something to himself or whatever. Who knows who did it? I'm sure you guys can cover that. But there's no agreement for that property. Nobody's proposed anything to me. Nobody's made an offer to me for this. This would be like selling myself my own property to make myself a deal. You know, these people, whoever's making this deal, it's not correct. It needs to be stopped. That this is somebody in the city selling themselves something that doesn't belong to them. And it's not just that. There's jobs. There's other things too. But definitely on agenda item number 7, the Vista Canyon Multimodal Center project, I would oppose that and definitely reject that.
Okay, thank you. Our next 3 speakers, if you could get ready to come up, will all be on item 9, and that will be Missy will be number 1, Corey Downs will be number 2, and then Cody Amore. So if you get ready and kind of come up toward the front.
Good evening again. This item 9 is about a contract to expand what we currently pay and pay more, significantly more, to clean up encampment, basically homeless encampment. I asked the question why this contract isn't surrounded by a bigger discussion of what are we doing on the homeless front, because that's the real issue. And the more we apply Band-Aids, and in this case, $200,000, I think it is per year annually, I don't think that motivates us to solve the bigger problem, which is the significant problem of homelessness. Happily, in our valley, it's less significant here than in other areas, so why don't we put our energies into solving it before it gets any bigger? I think it's specifically inappropriate to charge this amount of money to the general fund, because this means it's an additional tax, in addition to the taxes we've already paid to the state, the tune of, I believe, $8 billion in Measure H funds. And I believe we're still understanding that Santa Clarita Valley is unable to recover our appropriate fair share of these monies. So I really think it's inappropriate to spend the general fund money that the taxpayers pay in to pay for a Band-Aid of homeless services, and at a minimum, this is money, if we need it temporarily, we should ask the county for. And I'm hoping we can understand, at least for me and perhaps many others, why it is specifically that we're unable to recover the funds that we think we're due from LA County, because I would be happy to help. I would write letters. I would go to the board of supervisor meetings. I would like the city to help citizens understand how we might be positively activated to help solve this problem that's a crazy problem of getting access to our own money. But if that's what it is, I'm happy to help. But in the meantime, I would ask that we not increase the amount of money to the taxpayers that we're already paying. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Corey Downs, and then Cody Amore.
This agenda item is a window into how this council views a certain segment of our population. Just something to expense. They don't pay taxes, so you have a problem. You have no problem taking away their humanity. What's missing from the background on this agenda item is an examination of your policy choices that explain why people end up in an encampment. Policy of indifference. The count conducted in February by LASHA hasn't been added to the action website yet. The new plan that the council approved in May to combat homelessness also not posted. The state mandated housing element, originally due last October, has yet to be approved by HCD. It is currently going through a second round of mandated updates. There's your anti-Sacramento policy. You denounce, got outright kill legislation claiming local land use rights. There's your policy of exclusion. Your emphasis on enabling high-end development creates enormous barriers of entry in the housing market. Encampments are not inherently safe, yet this council protects high-end developers by not binding them to help solve the problem. That leaves residents bound to that inaction and left unprotected. For months, I've been trying to understand your position on affordable housing. The only explanation I can come up with is that you believe that social hierarchies are naturally occurring and inherently just. Perhaps you see people's plight as a product of their own creation, organic, and a result of the ebb and flow of capitalism and fair market economy. You don't feel responsible, so you don't step in to actually help solve the problem. These encampments are a signal that current policies are not effective. Your position is that instead of Measure H money going to older LA County cities, that money should come back to us. But the city is not a powerless victim in this equation. You've got many other tools at your disposal. Just look at tonight's agenda. You formed a union with hundreds of other cities in California, number 1. Spending powers on local infrastructure, number 5. Partnerships with neighboring towns, number 7. Land annexation powers, number 10. Eminent domain and joint powers authority, number 15. Our annual budget boasts revenues of over $260 million. Money is not an obstacle to solving this issue. The obstacle is convincing this council to exhibit the political will necessary to make better policy choices. It's a dereliction of your duty as the governing body of this city, just a couple seconds, to exercise complete control over land use and then ignore only some groups to the point of dehumanization. Thank you.
Cody. Cody Amore. Our next speaker will be Cody Amore.
I couldn't have said that better myself. That was right on the nose. So yeah, this encampment cleanup services. I don't understand this. Why are we destroying encampments? Well, evicting homeless residents when we only have 60 emergency shelter beds. See, in LA City, they have this rule, right, where if you oppose or if you reject shelter, then they can arrest you or they can remove you from your encampment. You can't do that here because we don't have enough shelter beds. My housing navigator told me we have 1,000 homeless residents in this city right now, and most of them are never seen, right, because they're hidden, and this is the kind of operations that ruin their homes. They have nowhere else to live, right? So when you clean up their homes, you're kicking them out, and that's wrong. And then on item 10, I wanted to talk about the park transfer, specifically regarding the William Hart Park transfer. Can I speak on both right now, or on both items, or should I wait on that item?
Did you already sign up for it, Cody? Did you sign up?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Well, then
Okay, so I can talk on that as well. Thank you.
you have a couple minutes.
Okay, thank you. So I've been volunteering there at Hart Park, and they are severely understaffed and underpaid. And it's really unfortunate because the County of Los Angeles has abandoned all the volunteers, all the workers. They're really hard workers, and many of them just get paid $15 an hour, which is unacceptable. So I hope that when the city gets this park transfer finished, please open up the museum right away. Please hire more staff to take care of the 70-plus animals. It's really unfortunate that Rachel is working all the time taking care of those animals, and she's pretty much the only one, and she's relying on other county staff to help her, and there's just not enough workers. So I really hope you take care of that park better than LA County can. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to go on to our next three speakers, which is item 10. And the first speaker will be Missy, and then Donald Harlan, followed by Cody Amar. Well, okay. Well, I asked him if he did card, but he did. So, all right. Thank you. Go ahead, Missy.
Thank you again. This is the, item 10 is the supplemental resolution regarding Tesoro. I spoke about this on the initial resolution and had stated that I thought that there were likely missing components. So the missing components of this, it was unfair to ask for public comment at that point in time because it seems like everything was not revealed. And it seems like in this supplemental resolution, there are indeed additional things that came up. I'm confused about that because the original resolution was in 2019. So I'm trying to understand this. I'm not trying to be critical, but I don't understand why something that's been approved in November of 2019, we have a supplemental resolution, which includes the most obvious things because we have them throughout the city. Things like the landscaping management district and lighting for the area. Things like the Tesoro Adobe, which Councilperson Gibbs had asked a question on that. My own public comment was, it seems to be rather a historic site, and I don't think historic sites cost zero. But again, that's what this resolution, the supplemental resolution says, is the original one, or the last one in May, was that basically, I can't find it here in my notes, but basically there's no net additional cost to the city. I question that assumption, and yet I would be happy to review any financials that appropriately should be submitted with this, because I just would like this information to be complete. As a taxpayer, I want to understand what these items, what these annexations are costing the city. And I don't believe it serves the general public's purpose to have a piecemeal approach to this. I think it's confusing, and frankly, I think it's deceiving. And so I would ask the city to, again, set this aside so we can confirm that this is complete and do more precision work on disclosure of costs for taxpayers' benefit. Thanks.
Our next speaker will be Donald Harlan.
Hi, I'm Donald Harlan. This is about the, I'm going to have to oppose the Tesoro Valley annexation area and stop this transfer between the city of Los Angeles. That's some of my property too back there. The Harry Carey family, Harry Carey Jr. I attempted in the early 2000s to employ him to collect some of my entertainment money that I'm owed, and he didn't complete the deal. In the early 2000s, I attempted to contact a member of the family that I would sell them the properties if they helped me get my entertainment money, but they never helped me. They betrayed me. They still tried to claim the property. I was never paid for that. That's been my property since the 1970s. There's a couple of properties around the historic park where his family's vacation home is in the San Francisco Canyon in there. And there's a couple lots next to it or around there that belong to that family, but the rest of that zone is mine. There's a lot of, claims, people adding assessor reports, but I have no deals with them. I've never been paid. There's no agreement. I did try to enter an agreement with Harry Carey Jr. about this, but it didn't go so well. And I'm concerned that if Harry Carey Jr. is still alive, that he may be under distress or somebody trying to replace him, or that there's people making business decisions on his behalf against his will, or that somebody's taking advantage of him on this. I looked at I tried to look into this because since it's such a huge piece of property and there's people trying to illegally develop housing tracts here in Santa Clarita. I came up with Montalvo Properties LLC, I believe, that may be related to Harry Carey Jr., but it may not be. He may be somebody trying to sell his shit. Also, Compass is another company that is a developer that's pretty large. They have thousands of illegal developments. Compass is a large real estate agency, and it seems that they have their hands in this. And they do a lot of kind of hostile takeover things,
Donald, your time's up. Thank you very much.
This Tesoro Valley, just last to close, this is not property owned by Santa Clarita or the city or even by Tesoro. That you guys should be aware of that. They just added an assessor report.
My
in
next speaker will
2002.
be Missy on item 11, and she will be followed by Dan Zimmerman on item 11, and then Corey Downs, item 11.
Item 11, architectural design review services for proposed projects within the city of Santa Clarita. PlaceWorks, an annual amount of $90,000 for a total 5-year not to exceed $450,000. This is about, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but when I read this, this appears to be that the city's already established design guidelines. Those are in place. This is an architectural firm to provide not architectural services, not architectural drawings, not coordination with contractors, but this is architectural design review services. $90,000. Thank you very much. In the report, it says that typically the current base budget for this is $10,000 annually. So the proposal here is to increase the budget by $80,000 annually. That's a 900% increase. That's greater than the CPI. That's greater than all the crazy inflation we're seeing. This is a huge increase. My question is this, or my suggestion is this. We have a planning commission that gets paid. Planning commission, if I'm using the right words. We have paid staff on the city. We have a lot of professionals. I'm uncertain why, if this is a substantial need, why don't we just hire the staff and have them do this? This is a occasional type design review, but I really do question why we have supplemental review by an outside consultant. I question whether we need supplemental review, why the original design, why the now design guidelines, and then the future architect, and then all the city staff, why we need this supplemental service. Again, in context of myself and likely other citizens have higher needs in which we would like our taxpayer dollars spent. Thank you. Please consider not approving this.
Our next speaker is Diane Zimmerman, followed by Corey Downs.
All right, I spoke at this, at the meeting, I spoke to this at the meeting on July 12th. At the Special Development Committee meeting regarding this subject, this item, July 7th, 2022 in the afternoon, Mr. Corey Downs and I were two of very few members of the public attending this meeting. As I stated last time, we were treated rather rudely by a council member more than once during that meeting. Upon consideration, maybe that person had a bad day. In my job, I would have been severely reprimanded for taking out my bad day on a customer. Just saying. There was no transparency at all on the agenda that was posted for the public regarding that meeting. It let us know that a presentation was to be made. It did not let the public know what company was making that presentation, so that the public could look up and said company before the meeting and learn a little of their history before the presentation. We were told we had to speak before the presentation. That was not correct. Once the speakers for the company, which turned out to be Placeworks, finished their presentation, both Mr. Downs and I had questions based on what we could discern about the company during the presentation. A council member informed us in a pretty not-so-nice manner, paraphrasing here, that we had already had the opportunity to speak and would be given no time for more questions. By the way, both Placeworks presenters were very pleasant to us and seemed shocked by the way we were being treated as a couple of the folks that pay the development committee's salaries. All we ask is that going forward, the agendas be transparent as to details about presenters, etc. Here we are once again asking for said transparency on all future agendas posted for the public to review and decide their questions ahead of time so as not to waste the committee's or the public's valuable time. I have no time to say more, so I will just say that I hope you table this for further evaluation. Thank you.
Corey Downs.
Thanks. She hit a lot of all the right points, but before I get, Mayor, if you mind, before I get to mine, everybody here has all the experience more than me. I've only been coming to Santa Council for a short time. Is there a situation in the room that we need to be aware of or concerned about?
I don't know.
I hear some whispering.
I don't know what your question is.
Okay, then it may not be as obvious to everybody that it is to me. So just skip it, and maybe you've noticed. Raise your eyebrow, maybe. Okay, I'll continue. Sorry for the interruption. Yes, I did go to the development committee meeting. It's great. All the committee meetings are open to the public. You can sign up for alerts. I wish at a minimum we could have the amount of notice that we get for these councils. These committee meetings, they take place during normal business hours. So if we had a little bit more lead time, people that can possibly make them can rearrange their schedules. I've made 3 committee meetings this year, 2 run by Mayor West, 1 run by Councilmember Smythe. The one with Councilmember Smythe, it was a while ago, but I remember the first words out of your mouth when you saw me pertained to some misinformation about how much I'd be able to speak on the agenda items. That should probably be cleaned up. Mayor West, in your meetings, as the previous speaker already mentioned, it's really not a good idea to tell us that we can only speak before a presentation. It just doesn't sit right. I'll skip. It was interesting to hear that even though tax dollars pay for the design review services, their work doesn't allow for public involvement in any way. It was said in the committee meeting that there is zero guarantee that developers will use the service. So I was hoping you could clarify if it's mandatory. I didn't see the word mandatory in the agenda. We've had the CCDG guidelines since 2009. We're only going to get 9 of them, provided that developers even ask. I'm hoping that they could be handled internally. If a developer does decide to use the design service, they'll have to pay for that, which means they're likely to transfer that cost onto us. Now we're paying for it twice. The agenda item states that this began in 2021. I think it was said in the meeting, that's when we lost the last one. We've been doing whatever we've been doing for a year now, and with everything that's been said from the previous speakers and myself, I'm wondering, I'd just hate to throw away $450K if it's not going to be used. Thanks.
Our next speaker will be Missy on item 13, and then Steve Petzold on item 14.
Say, I'm speaking on item 13. Thank you for this opportunity, but let me make a general statement. I was surprised to see on the agenda that the consent calendar literally contained most of the items on the agenda. I would ask the city to rethink that, because the consent calendar basically does this. If no one signs up for public comment at the right time prior to the meeting start, probably, then they're locked out of making any kind of public comment. I would like to hear these points discussed more fully by the city council and have some dialogue so we can hear what the city council thinks. And I also always want to preserve the public's right to comment. So I say this because I'm hoping that this is not a trend, that we'll literally see the entire agenda on the consent calendar that can be approved in one fell swoop by one vote. So please consider that. Specific to item 13, preparation of a museum and cultural center feasibility study contract. Again, I would ask you to table this or set this aside, because I don't believe this is a priority at this time. Again, people's priority is gas, food, their energy bills, many other things that I won't mention here, but the list is long. I also see the opportunity that we have the historic site of Hart Park. That's a museum in itself. I think we have some other museums. I've not been hiking around Housley Canyon or Placerita Canyon, but there used to be some smallish kind of quasi-museums there. So I really question the need for this, and I'm really uncertain of the process of how this even gets on the agenda. How is it that a museum and cultural center becomes a priority? Or do these priorities get reassessed? If it was a priority a year or so ago, I'd like to understand what the process is, because the public certainly can help in that process to help articulate our priorities so that perhaps that can be accommodated into some of the things that get on the agenda. So again, I would just ask you to table this at this point in time, because I really do not believe this is a necessity that the citizens are looking for by summer of 2022. Thanks.
Next speaker will be Steve Petzold on item 14.
Did I have one in for 13? What's that? Graphic design?
It is.
I'm going to take a few minutes to read it.
It's graphic
I'm sure
design.
I'm opposed to it, but I'm not sure why yet.
Well, I'll let you
I
three.
misstated the number, I'm sure. You know, I don't care about graphic design contracts, really.
Thank you,
But,
Steve.
Coming back to, item number 12, $140,000 for renewable biodiesel. Well, that's biodiesel. What is the cost-benefit what's the cost-benefit analysis of going from diesel to biodiesel? Are there less carbon emissions? It costs more. This is your own Green New Deal. I can't believe that you would dip into the, rather than being cost effective, you had just simply add $140,000 to a contract to make renewable diesel. Diesel comes from oil. Renewable diesel comes from plants. So they grow corn in Iowa, they send it to, they make vegetable oil out of it, they use it. After it's done, you go back and you refine it. They're biodiesel cars. Why would you pay $140,000 more for renewable biodiesel? I just don't understand that at all. Preparation of the Museum and Cultural Center, came to talk on 13. I just don't, like Missy, I don't understand how that ended up on the agenda. I know this is a pet project by several of the people on the city council, but I never heard anybody suggest, hey, can we put this on the agenda? We'd like to spend $90,000 on it. Instead, we come down here, we see it on the agenda, $90,000 for a feasibility study. We all know you're talking about the senior center. We have plenty of community centers here in Santa Clarita where you can hold cultural events. You don't need a new cultural center. So I would object to the $90,000 that you're spending to do a feasibility study for something that we already have facilities that are available to do that. So thank you.
Our next speaker will be Corey Downs on item 15, followed by Steve Petzold on item 15. Do you want to read it, Steve? Corey, you're next.
A recent speaker was chastised by this council for being too young to understand enough city history to make convincing comment. This agenda item gives historical insight to what happens when local government wields its enormous power for the greater good. The current council and city manager subscribe to the belief that the city should be run like a business and that fair market forces should dictate decisions. Sounds good, right? But that's not how we get Central Park. That was nothing more than smart policy. $33 a year for 34 acres of prime real estate is not the result of fair market forces working in harmony. It's the result of combining eminent domain with the city's joint powers authority for the benefit of the community. That's good government. So Central Park becomes a success, and its success helps breed more success. Residents get to enjoy the outdoors, and the city collects higher property taxes to fund other projects. Sound business practice may be how we're able to maintain Central Park, but when we need to expand Central Park, we apply for money offered by state and federal agencies, also sound government. Other sound policy decisions happen when governments band together. Again, see items 1 and 7 of today's agenda. Cities do this because there's market power and agency and even safety in large numbers. For many people, however, the margins for their success are razor thin. The smallest bit of bad luck can make the difference between having safety in the form of a job and a place to live or having to fend for themselves in an encampment. People of like mind can and do get together, but no matter how large the group, people will forever remain at the mercy of policy decisions and indecisions. The people have the power of the poll, but once that process is over, the people don't have an equivalent of eminent domain and joint powers. We can't team up with other cities or generate revenue on a scale equal to that of government. Government will always have more power regardless of who sits in those chairs. Policy decisions and indecisions have predictable outcomes. When it comes to where this council exerts its influence, the lever is regularly pulled on behalf of parks, while residents on the other side of the tracks get run over by this council's housing policies. Sometimes policy decisions are unpredictable. A plan to upgrade Central Park stalled recently, and a large portion of grant money may get tied up in litigation. The city took a chance with free COVID money. That can happen. What's concerning is that policy used to make Central Park a success is being used on Central Park instead of investing in the people who needed that federal money more than they needed a golf course. Perhaps the council needs a history lesson itself.
Steve Petzold. And Steve, it's item 15. I got it. Okay, good. And then he'll be followed by Donald Harlan on item 16. and Donald Harlan on item 17, and Donald Harlan on 18. So Donald Harlan should come sit up front. Good. We got that. Go
Well, I
ahead,
speak in favor of item number 15. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I certainly want you to approve this for the expansion of the disc golf course at Central Park, and it's been a long time coming. I thank the agencies for working together to make this possible. I would urge you to make sure that once this is approved, that you expend the proper funds necessary to move the fence and do the grading and place the new baskets, hire a disc golf consultant specialist to help map it out. So I know this is the first step, and I'm learning that it takes longer than what I certainly would have ever wanted it to be. But this is a step forward. The disc golf course is used constantly from the time the sun goes up past the time the sun goes down. So if you've ever been out there, you'll see how much that's played there. So that being said, I did attend the SCV Water Agency meeting where they approved this, and there were significant discussions about memorials, sponsorships, advertising within the group there. And I believe that while you should approve this tonight, you should have an ad hoc committee speak about what constitutes a sponsorship, what constitutes a memorial. Does putting a park bench there with a plaque on it? These were the discussions they were having. They got down to like, how big can the bench be? I would actually suggest the SCV Water Agency deed you the land for Central Park. You've established the buffer that they required, and that is not going away under any circumstances. But that would allow you to gain control of what you do at Central Park. I recently visited Centennial Park in Atlanta. Every brick in that park has somebody's name on it. Everybody's bench has somebody's name on it. You go to almost any park, and people want to participate in the park by dedicating something to a loved one that might have enjoyed it and such. We need to clarify exactly what this lease agreement means going forward. So I ask you to approve it tonight with the stipulation that city staff meet with SCV Water Agency to discuss what constitutes a memorial, what constitutes a sponsorship, what constitutes advertising, so that that can be clarified and we won't run into the problems that we had back when the obelisks were put in place. So I thank you. I ask you to approve this, and the disc golfers are very thankful for expanding this land.
Thank you, Steve. All right, Mr. Donald Harlan.
I'm here to oppose agenda item number 16. This is easements and entry agreement granted to Santa Clarita for the Valley Sanitation District. That's my parcel of land. I know that the assessor report says the city of Santa Clarita, but the city of Santa Clarita doesn't own that. I wrote those quit claims for the drainage pipe there in 1978. And it's been a long time that the people working in the maintenance district or the sewer company or whatever can access the property and do whatever work they need to, their maintenance or anything. But they don't need to have their own road there. They don't need to, the city, it's not for the city to sell that property. It's not their property to sell. There's a quit claim for the area of the drainage pipe. And it's been that somebody assumed that because there's a quit claim for that, for the city or whoever, that they also own the parcel of land that it's sitting on, and they don't. So it's a controversial spot because there's somebody trying to develop the area legally. That if they need to access the land, they can. It's always been that way. I mean, it's wide open land. But it's not for the city to sell my land to the water district. And nobody should be developing in there at all. And about the Central Park, I find it kind of discouraging, somewhat insulting that people show up to the city after you donate a piece of land to make a park. people show up to the city and say, oh, we're so proud of the city forcing everybody out of their real estate, declaring eminent domain, and everybody wants to create a certificate prize for themselves for doing this project, and we're the founders of this and that. You know, what about the guy that donated the land and the money for the park? But, you know, there's always somebody saying, you know, somebody that doesn't understand real estate, or certain people want to redo every land deal so it shows that, you know, it came from them, or that's something else than the other it's not. And if you guys use that area there for the park, you know, you expand the disc golf course, that's just fine. I just don't want you to encroach on DWP pipeline property, or erode the hills or anything like that. But use that area as you want for the park. I mean, that's what it's for. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Harlan, your next item is number 17. Did you want to speak on that?
I hadn't researched number 17. This is dedication of easement to Southern California Edison, so I suppose I'm neutral, whereas number 16, I'm opposed. But this is another, I haven't really investigated. I don't know for sure about number 16, but it seems to me that the city has trying to claim a lot of property that doesn't belong to them, you know, and trying to sell it to the different agencies. Doesn't belong to them. You know, every inch of California is owned by somebody since it was incorporated in 1850. Every inch. So there's no such thing as vacant or open land for anybody to claim. This isn't the Wild West frontier where you're gonna build your log cabin in the mountain or whatever. It's not like that at all. Every inch of land is owned by somebody. And it's not for the people in the city or the county or the state or the government to give it away. We have a constitutional right to be reimbursed for our property if somebody's trying to take it from us in the government, or they have a good reason. And that's not happening here in Santa Clarita. Just the opposite's happening. I know that different administrations, different city councils, one city council decided, hey, you know, there's a claim for this pipeline or whatever, this easement, and that maybe they own the whole parcel, and then the next city council comes in and somebody tries to sell it to themselves, or somebody wants to make a deal, you know, things get out of control after a while. Especially over long periods of time. Those were my properties since 1978. And it just seems that this is a recurring problem, you know. If there's escrows for me in the city, or there's money for me in the city, somebody has some account or something, I do need that money. And if any of the people working in the city or any lawyers have any questions for me, or they need information, or where to look for something, to find something out, I'm open to answer the questions. This has been going on for a long time, maybe longer than some of you guys have been alive. So you know that if there's somebody in the city or the government that's committing large financial crimes, millions, billions of dollars, and the law enforcement won't handle it, the government won't handle it, they won't go after them, or they're supporting the criminal activity, there's other options. There's international agencies that are willing to place bounties on these people on my behalf, if that's the case.
Thank you, Mr. Harlan. And you have one more card in on number 18. Did you want to speak on that?
Yes, this is another one, agenda item number 18. Assignment, assumption, and consent of easement agreement to Shadow Wolf Energy. I don't really know the deal there for that property. I own a lot of the properties around there, even though it says the city of Santa Clarita. This is about oil property. This oil has been depleted out of this land, this property, for a long time. There's no oil there. And it's a neat property, but I don't know why the city would be collecting money across my railroad tracks as an easement. I know that takes a certain amount to maintain the equipment for the gate, or stoplight or whatever, but I don't know why the city would be collecting the easement money for that. And I'm not sure as to the sale to Shadow Wolf Energy by Berry Petroleum. I would look into it. There's a lot of funny business in the oil game, and sometimes people sack other people's businesses, or people sack other people's families, or bad stuff happens, but I don't really know what's going on in there. I don't want to ruin somebody's deal or mess someone up. I mean, it's a neat property. I would pay money just to keep that place empty, just to keep people from trying to drill more, or trying to develop the area. I have personal concerns for the area too, over oil, if you don't know about that. And it concerns me that an oil company is being sold and transferred within the property. I've had quite a bit of problem. Important political figures in the federal government trying to drill for my oil. And there's a big problem with it. One of the Trumps getting impeached or something like that over trying to drill for my oil. They weren't successful, and that they hit lava instead of oil, and that they've been trying to hit that oil for 100 years, and I'm the only one that's been able to do it. So I'm a little concerned when, wolf companies are grabbing oil properties. Just so you know, if you're in there, that there's no oil there. There's no chance of you hitting that oil either.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the speakers on the consent calendar. And any questions by the council? In that case, I'll accept a motion.
I motion.
I have a motion, I have a second. May I have a roll call, please, Mary?
Councilmember Miranda,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gibbs,
Aye.
Councilwoman McLean,
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe,
Aye.
Mayor West.
Aye. All right, we will now take our second public participation speakers. And you can have all those back. Start with Catherine Fronte, and she's first, and then Corey Downs is second, and Amber Coopman is third.
Hi. I've attended many meetings at this council, and I regularly see a small but earnest group of people standing at this podium and speaking out against this or advising you all to do that. They all scoff at the notion that there's racism or other forms of discrimination or bigotry occurring here in sunny Santa Clarita because, and I quote, they haven't seen any. Although I've personally never experienced it, I actually have seen and heard instances of all those things occurring here. My high schoolers regularly come home and talk about incidents of racism, discrimination, and other forms of bigotry on their campuses, carried out by their classmates and their parents, teachers, coaches, and other school staff. My kids do their very best to interrupt these things, and I do my best to make principals and school boards aware of them as they happen. I've had more than one phone conversation or in-person meeting to discuss what to do about it. How can we help this? So far, nothing. Some of these occurrences seem deliberate to me, and some seem to be done out of simple ignorance, which I truly hope is the case with my neighbors who speak here regularly and express sadness, confusion, or anger when they're called racist so often by people who witness their public comments. Ignorance can be overcome, hatred not as easily. If you choose to comment publicly, expect the public to answer back. If I was continually referred to as a racist or other objectionable label that I did not believe applied to me, rather than becoming angry or defensive, I would become curious about what I might be doing or saying to give others that impression. I would ask them directly instead of defending or denying, deflecting, or simply rejecting. I propose a parent symposium to educate and combat the rise of hate in the Santa Clarita Valley. And I have one last thought. George Washington was such a confident and capable leader and believed in the experiment he helped form, a democracy, so fervently that he stepped down after 2 terms as president. He could have gotten elected again, but to him, long terms in office resembled too closely the monarchy that he had fought to extricate us from. He recognized that he was getting older and believed so much in his own vision and what this country could become that he stepped aside to let others carry out and improve on it. There is strength and grace in knowing when it's time to step aside and let others take the reins. I propose term limits for city council members.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Corey Downs. Corey's followed by Amber Koopman.
The Inspector General's Office of LA County recently granted oversight of the SRO program in Santa Clarita. Councilmember McLean had some comments. It will add a layer of bureaucracy and also offered her one-size-fits-all argument against the oversight. We can remember a time when the accepted mantra was trust but verify. Now it's just verify. The days of people trusting institutions may be over. A fraudulent mortgage industry nearly destroys the world economy, yet bankers still get bonus checks. Large sections of the country believe elections are rigged. The days of institutions trusting each other or trusting people may be over. Homeland Security doesn't think you're a terrorist just because you tell them you aren't a terrorist. Homeland Security doesn't think you're a terrorist because you take off your shoes and go through the metal detector. The Supreme Court has handed tremendous amounts of power to the police. Stop and frisk. Police can lie. Something called the third-party doctrine, which is from 1976, but that's morphed into complete surveillance of the internet. Police have qualified immunity. They're allowed to act on anonymous, non-corroborated tips. The list goes on. When dealing with minors, SROs represent the full power of the state, and minors are less inclined to understand their rights when interacting with police. There must be a check on this power against whatever potential abuse, and at a minimum, the check needs to be a reliable and third-party group. Human beings make mistakes. That's why there's third-party oversight in most of our lives. There was no oversight when William Mulholland built the St. Francis Dam. But after that disaster, the government didn't make that mistake again. I went to go get a burger in Keenan Country last weekend only to discover the health department had closed down the restaurant to protect the public safety. The city financials get audited each year. The list goes on. Recently, there have been 2 negative incidents involving local police and young people in our community. Incidents like this are very few and far between, but having third-party oversight allows parties involved an increased layer of protection for their children. That's not bureaucracy. Agenda item 11 is entirely about third-party oversight, building design, so at least on some level, the council does believe it has a place. I believe it also has a place when it comes to the kids going to school in our city. I think the SRO program is awesome. And if there has to be an oversight plan in place, so be it. It's an important part of keeping kids safe at school. You may have never had a negative interaction with police, but the people who have understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber Koopman. Amber Koopman. Okay, Amber. Amber will be followed by Steve Petzold and then Quinn Lubbs.
That was just rude and disrespectful. I don't have a speech, but I'm here on behalf of Cody. I know he's, and there's a lot of stuff that you guys can do for the homeless shelter, and nothing's being done, and there's more and more, and it's just really disgusting. There's so much money in this valley, and then nobody wants to do anything about anything. And the more that you keep avoiding it and don't do anything about it, it's going to keep going. There's a problem to every solution till you are dead, from what I have told by, and I believe in that. So I suggest that you do something about this before the problem gets worse. People keep complaining about the city, about the homeless people, but nobody want to do anything. Again, there's enough money to do something. Bridge to Home only does so much. LA Family Housing only does so much, and on and on and on. And it's funny how the money goes to LASD down in there before we even see it. We only see so much. You guys think we see all this money? You think we're getting housed? No. There's a lot going on that you guys don't even know about. I really don't know. I think that's it. Yeah, I just want something to get done because it's just sad. You have older, all these people that just keep becoming more, and you're all one paycheck, honestly, to be homeless, maybe two. Remember that. Like, the sheriffs don't do much. City don't do much. The government don't do much. Like, I've been around too long. No one's doing anything. So, it'd just be nice if somebody would actually just hear somebody out and actually sit back and go home and be like, oh my God, maybe I should, do something. Maybe I know someone that has money. We need more donations so bad. They need clothes, food, freaking hygiene products. Like, there's so many stores I'm sure that can freaking donate, like Walmart, Target stuff, or coffee places like coffee or donuts, or just, besides eating pizza and pasta and chicken every day, we need more than that. We need a lot of donations. We need a lot of things. We can a lot better. Like you said, there's only so many beds at this shelter. So I just hope you guys hear me out, hear him out. Like, something needs to be done before, it gets to a point where there's nothing you can do. And I just had a question for you. I heard you make more than the president. I'm just curious. How is it that you make more than the president? From what I heard.
Our next speaker will be Steve Petzel. Steve? And Steve's followed by Quinn Lubbs. Quinn, do you want to come up the front?
Okay, so I'm going to freely associate here. I did get a new whiteboard, $1 at Dollar Club there down the street. So I did want to address the fentanyl issue. It's very sad that has come here to Santa Clarita, but I certainly appreciate the openness in which it's been discussed recently. I heard on the news today that Santa Clarita is the center for fentanyl abuse in Los Angeles County. I highly doubt that. But and then they said that these deaths were largely concentrated among the youth in Santa Clarita. I have no idea how many youth. They said teenagers, so I don't know what that constitutes. How many teenagers have died in the last year during fentanyl, from fentanyl overdoses? But you know what? We can do something. We need to close the border. And we need to stop the supply from coming in. I'm going to go over to fluorescent light bulbs. I recently called Waste Management to recycle my fluorescent light bulbs, and I found out that no light bulbs are to be disposed of in the trash. So I said, well, what do I do with my fluorescent light bulbs? They said, you send us $75, we'll send you a box that you can put them in, and we'll give you a shipping package to send them back to us. So I don't know, how do you get rid of your fluorescent light bulbs here? I'm not going to pay $75. So how do you dispose of fluorescent light bulbs in Santa Clarita? We do have German American Heritage Month coming up. So at the next meeting, I would like to see German American Heritage Month in Santa Clarita declared again. It's an annual event. Lucky Luke's is going to have a big event, and Pocock, and so I think we need to bring forth German American Heritage Month again this year. I just can't rely on you to put it on the agenda, so I would like to ask you to put that on the agenda. We have Constitution Day on September 17th coming up. I'd like to see the city do something, a declaration or a proclamation for Constitution Day. I'm moving on to Lila. I did like Lila. She was an honest voice at the Signal. She was the first one to tell me on Measure EE, it doesn't matter what you write to this newspaper, nobody's going to print what you say. You talk about the contractors who funded this, we're not going to print it. You talk about the foundation paying $150,000 to promote it, we're not printing it. Steve, just stop. We're not printing it. Glo Donnelly, last time I saw her, it was when she came here to say that you ought to keep at-large voting. And she rambled up here. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And now Quinn Lubbs, followed by Santa Rivera.
Hi, I'm Quinn. I'm here to speak about the growing problem of white supremacy in Santa Clarita. There are white supremacist groups putting up signs trying to recruit members of our community. This is so dangerous and so disgusting. It's appalling. I've had to bring it to your attention twice now. Last time I was here, I spoke about this, and people were confused about where these signs were. I have the locations. They're near Hillsborough Parkway on the Paseo. They are near Helmer Elementary School in Valencia. They're putting them in places where children walk past them because they are targeting children who don't know any better, who think, wow, I want to join this group, and then they rally, and it's scary. And I've seen the signs. Some of you might not have, but I've seen the signs because I went to take them down because you guys wouldn't. So the people of our community that you're supposed to be governing don't feel safe here. That's because members of these white supremacist groups, you allow to not only exist but to thrive here. Why do you think they're putting the recruitment signs in Santa Clarita? Because they know that's where the white supremacists are. If public safety is your priority, Marcia, then why are you okay with the KKK groups in our LASD at Pitches Detention Center? These groups are confirmed by retired LASD sheriffs. They're there. They're KKK members running our community. I don't know how you can give them $30 million a year and claim you're all about public safety. They're dangerous. They're targeting people, and you're ignoring it. We can take that $30 million and use it for better homeless shelters. When you're sitting there saying the homeless shelters we have are fine, have you ever lived there? They have. So you should listen to them. We can use it for drug rehabilitation resources. We're all angry about the fentanyl overdoses. I'm concerned about that as well. The difference is that some of you are using it as leverage to close the borders. It's not about that. It's not about blaming another country for our shit. You can't be doing that. There's drugs here because there's rich Americans bringing them in. So you can blame Mexico all you want and cry and cry and cry. Cry and whine about the Human Relations Roundtable, whose only job is to help to get rid of racism in Santa Clarita. I don't know why that's such a big problem for you. This corner over here, always, they sit in this corner every meeting, so I know to avoid it. They're constantly groaning and rolling their eyes while people speak on dismantling the racism that you allow in this community. That's hatred. That's bigotry, and they wonder why the meetings have been heated because they're fucking racist. So we can tell how buddy-buddy you are with them also when you laugh at all their dumb jokes, Lorene. So maybe you should keep an eye on that. I can see you. We all see you. We all know you're friends with them, and it's upsetting. Freedom of speech doesn't apply when your words and actions are actively harming people. They're creating an unsafe environment for people of color in our community, and you let them sit here and come up here and spew hatred. Bill, you used to be in the Human Relations Roundtable. The First Amendment doesn't apply when you're hurting people.
Your time's up, thank you.
And I'm proud to be a bully for ignorant and bigoted individuals, and I'll continue to be a bully.
Santa Rivera is our next speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear the speaker. I want to hear the speaker. Santa, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so I'd like to talk about the water since it was brought up. The water, the kids are drinking it from the drinking fountain, so I do agree that we need to do something about that. I also want to bring up again the goats. I think goats, getting some goats maybe from a rancher or somebody close by will help kind of keep the, ranchers, you can pay them to go clear the brush. I think that that would be a good idea. It would help prevent the brush fires. Also, the Liberty Parade was mentioned earlier. It's going to be on September 18th. And I would like to mention that it has to do with the Constitution, what our forefathers founded this on. In God we trust. People don't want to talk about religion anymore. People don't want to talk about freedoms anymore. And people want to be very sensitive about things. I understand that I cannot control what other people think of me, but I can control what I think of other people, or what people that know me think of me. That's who's going to know the type of person that I really am. If you want to get to know me, you can get to know me. If you don't, you have the right to your opinion. You can like me or dislike me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me none. Freedom of speech is a very important thing to have, and I don't think that anybody should disregard that. I also wanted to mention that the safety of our children. I keep bringing it up. I think it's very important that we don't just think about the children when they're in school. A lot of kids walk home from school. There has been more than one incident since the last meeting that we've had here that has happened after school with students. And I think that we need to figure out something, whether it's asking the officers to do a little extra patrolling around. I'm not going to stop asking for that. I know that that might be too much to ask, and that might not be something that could be done now. But I think where there's a will, there's a way. And I wanted to take this time, as I always like to reach out to the parents out there. Please keep an eye on your children. Please pay attention to what they're learning in school. Please try and understand or spend 5 extra minutes. I know that sometimes there's parents that are single parents that are working 2 jobs. I know that some parents don't even know how to speak English, and they only depend on their children interpreting and translating the things going on in school. We need to figure out how to bridge that gap. Quería decirle a los padres que están ahí escuchando, por favor, vean lo que están enseñándole a sus hijos, cuiden a sus hijos, pongan un poquito más atención. Es bien importante porque lo que está pasando ahorita es bien triste y nosotros tenemos que poner cualquier oportunidad para saber lo que está pasando con los hijos. También estaban hablando de drogas antes. Si necesitan ayuda o quieren algo, por favor, busquen en acción, ACTION. I also wanted to bring up the drugs action, like you mentioned. I think that we need to help each other. Thank you.
I have Len, and it's the last name is spelled UNKELESS.
That's me.
Thank you.
That's probably one of the first, if not the very first time I've spoken here. Thank you.
Well, welcome.
I know. I usually prefer to operate unscripted, so it comes from the heart. And I don't know how well my filters are going to be working tonight, but bottom line, well, let's work with the fentanyl thing first. It's coming from China. It's coming through Mexico. It's not racist, okay? Racism is a word that the left has completely overused into the point of oblivion, and it's completely worthless. I want to talk about racism, okay? My family are Holocaust survivors. 6 million Jews got killed because of people like you and Hitler and all that kind of stuff. That's your people, okay? KKK was formed by the Democrats. That's you people. And you, Malik, okay? That's how it works, okay? 6 million people. You want to talk about racism? Go for it. Give me your best shot. Girl? You know you can shove your girl. Okay, so here's what it is, okay? This white supremacy and all these things that these people were talking about may be happening a little here, a little there, okay? We can quash these people on our own. We don't have to turn around and tie you guys up doing this. Sure, we could get some, if we could get some more resources from law enforcement, that'd be great. But it is not another pandemic, which they're trying to make it out to. Make it out to be, I'm sorry, okay? It's just ridiculous. It's like, look, I listened to Malik the other night, okay? And he made perfect sense up until 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Then he went completely off the rails. Oh, white supremacy, this, that, the other. Shut up. I mean, seriously. There's no, yeah, shut up. Never. Well, then you'll just be known as the mouth of Santa Clarita. Okay? So basically, they're making a whole bunch of bullshit about nothing. Okay? You want that on our council? You've got to be kidding me. Okay? Seriously, we Santa Claritans are much smarter than that. Okay? Yeah, we are. Okay? So there you have it. Okay? I'm sure I've got a whole lot more to say. I just can't think of it at the moment. I'll talk to you face to face anytime you wish. Okay? Even have a cop watching.
All right.
No, it's a fact.
Thank you, Len.
To us, please.
Okay, my
Over here.
apologies. Okay, but seriously, and I know there's people in this room. They're going to go on Facebook. They're going to try to ruin me. Okay, it's all bullshit. It's all words. Doesn't mean a thing. I thrive on their mockery. I eat it up and I shove it right back at them. Okay, so seriously, you guys are doing a reasonable job. Don't let these people, get you down with their fake offenses. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes our speakers, and we will adjourn in honor of Donnelly, Jerry Gladbach, Jack Hanna, and Lila Littlejohn.